to listen to the replay and download her charts. They are excellent. Desert Tucson is really pretty new at grant writing, so we're not going to talk about that the entire time that we're together. The second step that we took to give ourselves a lot more money for Live Your Dream Awards, we became an Arizona qualifying charitable organization. In the state of Arizona, the Arizona Department of Revenue has set up a variety of different ways that people can contribute to organizations of their choosing and receive a tax credit. So qualifying charitable organization is the right fit for our Seroptimist Club, and we'll talk about that. We also do our fundraising. We really major in low-cost fundraisers because we want as much money as possible available for our dream programs. We used to do the really big functions, and probably about 5 years ago we moved away from that and we moved into more of a low-cost approach, and that's worked well for us. And when we think about the energy that people have and where they want to spend their time. And we also have benefited from very generous restricted donations to our club's Dream program. So I've introduced Kathy Southern, our treasurer. You know me, and Denise, of course, is with us. So what you're going to see in this presentation, we've got 4 slides about grant writing. And as I said, we're newbies at this. LaDonna is amazing. So we can tell you a little bit, but you'll want to check her session as well. We're going to spend most of our time talking about the qualifying charitable organization because this is something that our Arizona clubs can do. Our California clubs, as best I know, cannot, because the state of California does not offer a program like this QCO at this time. And we're also going to share with you some of the surprises that we've had along the way, and there's backup toolkit type stuff. All right, so grant writing, get ready. Man, if there's one thing I've learned about this, you need multiple brains on this project. Why do I say that? Well, you know, I'm really good at numbers. We've got some wonderful club members who are very passionate about our dream programs and can write the narrative to explain to the granting organization why it is that we are seeking money from them. So it's very helpful. And now that we've applied for, I want to say probably at least 4 or 5 different grants, and we have received every single one that we've applied for, our confidence is a little bit better now. So we've got people who are out there searching and hunting for foundations that are focused on women and girls, focused on education. We've got people who are really good at looking for that. We've got great writers, like I said. Kathy and I understand the financials, but you also need a timekeeper because if you miss the deadline, you're out. So, you know, keep track of when things are due. One of the things that we have done that has been successful for Desert Tucson, we have actively looked for foundations that align with our mission. There's a foundation for a woman who was a Tucson Seroptimist member many, many years ago. We're talking 50, 60, 70 years ago. And her estate when she died included setting up a foundation. We have had great success the last 2 years applying for grants from that foundation. And we mention in our write-up our connection to the woman whose bequest created the funds that we're applying for. We have foundations in Southern Arizona that serve women and girls, great success there. Where we have identified some functions we will apply to this coming club year that emphasize access to education. Some other things that might be good sources for your club: employer matching grants. If your community has a major employer and they offer matching grants, for heaven's sakes, get on it, because that is free money. Local businesses, for example, we have a real estate company in southern Arizona that has a foundation, and we have applied for grants from them. And to the extent that you've got contacts in the community who are board members or committee chairs for local foundations, you already know them, they know you, you can talk about our dream programs, and that will be some good sources for you. All right, preparing to apply. First and foremost, make sure you understand the criteria before you start typing, before you start writing stuff down. Because, you know, as we say at work, if you don't answer the mail, they're going to throw your application out. So make sure you understand the criteria. You're going to want to have your mission statement handy. You're going to want to talk about how you use your funds. We use our grant funds and our QCO donations and our restricted donations only for Live Your Dream and Dream It Be It, period, full stop. And I think that strengthens our application, because the foundations can resonate with the work that we're trying to accomplish. You might also notice, depending on the format that you have to fill out, a lot of foundations want to see your financials broken apart. They want to know, what are you spending on program or service? For us, that's our dream programs. And they want to know what you're spending on operating or overhead. So in the toolkit and in the set of files I sent to the attendees this afternoon, there's a sample Excel file that shows you how you can do this breakout, so that if you get a grant application that wants your financials broken out like that, you will not hit your head on your desk and cry. Because the first time I saw it, I freaked out just a little bit. And then sometimes foundations will have a target. They'll say something like, if your overhead or operating expense is more than, I'm making this up, 25%, why is that? And you're going to want to be able to explain it. Our explanation for that is, well, our club's financial spending falls into three categories. Number one, what do we pay to SI, SIA, and Golden West region for dues? Our club sends 3 people to region meetings and conferences. And, you know, we participate in things like the basket and stuff. Plus, we have our own club operating expense. So we explain that our club is part of a worldwide organization. And consequently, you know, we're participating in helping women and girls around the world. You start writing, you have somebody proofread it, and you save your work. Because, you know, after you've written a few of these, you realize that your mission statement and the way you describe what you want to use the money for, it's pretty consistent. And then finally, if the funding source gets back to you and has questions, answer them. Keep your promises, track the outcomes. All right, so that's pretty much everything I know about grants. Do you have questions at this point before we move on to qualifying charitable organization? And if you do, you're on mute, so just unmute yourself and speak up. Okay, and here again, I'm going to point you back to California grant writing session the previous hour, because it is awesome. LaDonna shared her charts with us, and they're amazing. Okay, now, if you're an Arizona club, I bet I know why you're here. You want to know all about QCO. What is it? Designated by the Arizona Department of Revenue. And there, when you open up the PowerPoint, you should be able to click on the blue link and get to this information with an open PowerPoint. If that doesn't work, just copy and paste the link into your browser. It'll take you right to information, detailed information about the qualifying charitable organization requirements. And they've got some requirements and they're pretty specific. Here's the big thing you need to know as a club. QCO is all about spending. They don't care where your club incomes come from. What they care about is where the club spends the money. At least half of your total club spend must be on qualifying services. They're very specific about what those are, and cash is part of that for education and training, and it has to be to low-income Arizona residents. Okay? All right. So if you're like we were a couple years ago, probably 1/4 of our total club spending went to live your dream and dream it be it. So the first time we looked at QCO, we fell far short. So then we had to get really serious about making a major financial commitment to dream it, be it, and live your dream so that we could prove for a full year that we had spent more than half of our total spend on qualifying services to qualifying low-income Arizona residents. Now, this QCO program really helps our club, Arizona clubs, and our dream programs, helps them be very attractive to donors. Why is that? Because the donors get a tax credit. What's a tax credit? It reduces the amount of your Arizona state income tax liability. Let's pretend that your Arizona state income tax liability is, I'm making this up, $600. As an individual, if you were to give $400 to a club with a QCO, you can take a tax credit of $400. Now you only owe the state of Arizona $200. Attractive? You bet. So this is something that we've really been emphasizing and publicizing to our donors and supporters with great results. We set a target this year. This is our first year as a QCO. We set a target of $8,000 for QCO donations, and last I checked, I think we were at 7,500, which I think is unbelievable for the first year out of the chute. So it works. It's very attractive to donors. Why in the world would you want to go through all this work and effort to become a QCO? Because like I said, it's attractive to donors. The ability to offer support to low-income women and girls, that's what we're all about. That's what our dream programs are all about. That's access to education, social and economic empowerment, Live Your Dream Awards. That's what this is for. So it is a perfect alignment to find money that donors will want to give you because you're going to turn around and use it with our dream programs to help low-income women and girls. Now, in our club, Desert Tucson, our Dream It Be It the past probably 5 years now has been at a high school in an underserved area where 90% of the students are on the free or reduced price student meal program. If that's not low income, I don't know what is, right? So Dream It Be It for us counts as a valid use of QCO funds. And the fact that we are QCO, we mention this when we apply for grants, and that helps the grant funding sources, the foundations, take us more seriously because we're following the rigorous discipline that the Arizona Department of Revenue has for a QCO. And I think it gives the foundations confidence that we know what we're doing and we're doing what we say we will do with regard to grant money. Okay, what do you need to know? Well, there's a Department of Revenue application and instruction form. It's 4 pages. It's not scary. They do ask for your financial statements, income statement and balance sheet from your most recently completed club year. You must have a club officer sign off on the application, so it's serious. And then if you're wondering, so how do I know what does low income mean? I've given you a link here to the federal government's poverty levels according to family size. So for example, here's how we use it. Live Your Dream Award. Let's say we have an applicant who who's supporting 3 children. Then we go click on this link, we pull up the table of the poverty level, we find a family of 4, and if her income is equal to or less than that, we're good. So that's how we use that data. This was a big deal for us as a club. We agonized for, I want to say, probably 4 to 6 months, numerous board meetings, numerous business meetings. Did we really want to go forward with this? So we made sure that everybody understood the criteria for being a QCO. We figured out how to line up our financial structure so that we were spending more than half of our money on Live Your Dream Awards given to low-income women. We had a little fact sheet to help us figure out, is this really something we want to do? It was a big cultural shift for us. And then we applied for it and our application was approved, I want to say in less than a week. I was shocked. I figured we'd have to wait months, the government, bureaucracy. We were approved very quickly, and then we began publicizing. So now I'm going to skip out of this and I'm going to show you a couple of things in the toolkit. I know it's hard to read this on the screen. And it would help if I went into screen share mode for this so that you can see it. Okay. All right, if I did that right, you can see an Excel spreadsheet. You got this file and it will be posted to the region website. Remember when I talked about for grant writing that they want to know what your overhead is versus your program or service? This format lets you see how can you make that split. Okay, so in our club, all of our fundraising income goes to Live Your Dream and Dream It Be It. All of our grants go there. All the QCO donations go there. The restricted donations go there. So that's how we can keep an eye on that. Our club pays for our overhead through member dues. I'm uncomfortable about fundraising to cover operating expenses, and I'm thankful that our club members are okay with a dues amount that pays for all of our operating expense. And then you can see that we also have a breakout of different kinds of expense and where they fit. Is it to the region, SIA? Is it club operating stuff? Is it Live Your Dream Awards? And finally, down at the bottom in this Excel file, it will tell you, are you at 50, what percentage of your total spend is going to your dream program service? So that's in the toolkit. We also put together a fact sheet. And again, this might be hard to see on the screen. We put together a fact sheet that we used at the board level and with our membership, why we want to do this, what it means to us, what it means to our contributors, just so we could keep our eyes on the ball for why are we going through all this effort to split out our financials. And I've also included in the toolkit a sample letter to donors so that if you want to model off that, you can. All right, so now we're going to go into the interactive discussion part. And the first question is, Does your club have its copy of SIA's determination letter? Handy. And you can raise your hand or put out one of these little reaction things with the confetti shooting out of it if you want. You need to be able to demonstrate that you're a 501c3, and the SIA determination letter is how you get there. So hopefully everyone has that. Now, the next question is whether your club, how does your club file a Form 990? Is it the postcard? Do you do the regular form? Do you do the long form? Why am I throwing this out there? Because if your club files the regular form or long form 990, you'll find the breakout that you need of what your program expenses are versus your operating. So, okay, so how many people can answer that question? Throw the confetti out there if you've got that. Okay, nobody's got that. Awesome. All right, your treasurer will know, so don't worry. Now, next question, and this one's a little harder. Do your club's budgets and financial reports show how much you're spending on Live Your Dream program versus how much you're spending on operations and overhead? Little confetti cone or not? If you don't do it, you can put out the little icon that looks like, oh my God. All right, so people know that. That's awesome. And then, here's another thing that we run into a lot. Do your member dues pay for the cost to operate the club, or does your club do fundraising to help with its operations? I'm really interested in the answer, so if you want to go off mute and tell me what your club does, I would love to know. Nobody wants to talk about how their club pays its expenses? Is it in the dues, or is it fundraising, or a combination? Well, let me ask this. Do you know?
Yes.
No. Okay. Well, you know what? You're getting some great questions you can go back and quiz your treasurer on. Okay. I'll be looking for hate mail from them. All right. Okay. Okay, so that's our first quiz here. Now let me just get back in here and see what the next questions are. Okay, fundraising. Do you happen to know whether your club's fundraising is high net? Like, we've got a fundraiser where there's a Tucson Marathon every year. We go out there and staff a water station, and it's like 40 degrees and it's dark, and we're out there at the water station. We earn $250, doesn't cost us a thing. The more of those you have, the better, because remember, half or more of your club spending has to go for qualified purposes to low-income Arizona residents if you want to be a QCO. So the more fundraisers you have that don't cost you a whole lot, the better, the easier that's going to be to accomplish that objective. Way back in the day, we used to do, big, huge galas. We made a 3-year commitment to raise $50,000 for the YWCA. We had this Life is Rich thing, food trucks, bands, oh my goodness. And, our members just about dropped from exhaustion because of the effort that it was. So our club made a conscious decision to move toward low-cost fundraisers to preserve our energy so we could go work on the DREAM programs. And we do have a favorite thing that we like to do. We like to go to the Gaslight Theater. It's kind of campy, slapstick, it's takeoffs on popular shows, and you go there, you eat popcorn, you hoop and holler. And so we turned that into a social, because we were charging people $30 so that we could make $5. And we thought, this is going to kill us if we want to be a QCO, because then we have to raise even more money to, get over this hurdle of half of our funding going to low income Arizona residents. So this next question is probably a variation of the question that we talked about a minute ago, and people weren't sure. How does your club fund its dream programs? Is it fundraising? Is it member dues? Do you have donations? Go ahead, come off mute and tell me what you do.
Lake Havasu City is just with fundraising alone for those scholars, those grants.
Other clubs want to share how you fund Live Your Dream?
It's fundraising for Wickenburg.
Okay. Okay, sounds like that's kind of a theme. And I'll tell you, for Desert Tucson, it was exclusively fundraising until 3 years ago. And we had one of these aha moments. I was on the Live Your Dream committee because I wanted to find out, what that was all about and how it worked, because I was pretty new to the club. And we had 3 women and we had a budget of $6,000 and we desperately wanted to give out 7,000. So, I'm the club co-president. I go back to the board. I say, guys, can we dig deep in the bank accounts? Is there anything we can do here? And we were able to, scrape up an extra 1,000 because one of our members made a restricted donation. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be constrained with how much money do we have for dream programs. So that's when we decided we were going to start going after grants, and we were going to really check into this QCO thing. And this spring, we gave out $21,000 in Live Your Dream awards. We gave 15,000 to 3 winners, and we gave another 6,000 to, I want to say, 6 or 8 of our prior year winners from the previous year, 2 years before that, and 3 years before that. And you know how everybody got clobbered with COVID. You would not believe the notes that came back from our prior year winners. The most moving one for me was a woman who said, "You have no idea what this means. I've had COVID for 3 weeks. I haven't been able to go to work. Your $1,500 is going to pay the rent, put food on the table." So being able to, access the income that we need to make these dream programs really have an impact, super powerful. We were really pumped about that. Okay, what other quiz questions do we want to get into here? Oh, yeah. So I talked about how 3 years ago, I went to the board and one of our members stepped up and made a significant restricted donation. That's a definition of a backstop here. And we were fortunate enough to have some money in savings to where, we could have drawn from that if we had needed to. Our club now, as a result of 2 years of grant writing and 1 year of QCO donations, we are now at a point where right now, this minute, we have all the money we need in our bank account to fund $25,000 of Live Your Dream Awards next year. And I'll tell you, 3 years ago, we were not there. Not there. So it's very powerful. And then what we did this year, this spring, when we went to set the budget for next club year, I went to the board and I asked directly, okay, do we or don't we want to continue being a QCO? Because, it's a big obligation trying to make half or more of your total spend going to low income individuals for for services that meet the Arizona Department of Revenue criteria. This is a big obligation. And the board said, hell yeah. Why? Do you think we should stop? No, I just want to make sure everybody makes an overt decision. So that's something else that I would recommend. Just every year, if you decide you want to press ahead with this, I'm happy to help you in any way that we can. And, probably for the foreseeable future, I'm going to recommend that our club explicitly decide every year, are we going to continue to be a QCO or not? Okay. So what surprised us? The courage to change. I shared our aha moment 3 years ago when we had $6,000. We desperately wanted to give out a little more. We had to go back to the board. We had to go back to the club. Somebody stepped up, and we didn't want to do that again. We were really frustrated. We felt it would be such a game changer for our LIDA applicants if we could give out some $5,000 awards per winner. And so that really, drove us. The talent discovery thing, you don't know until you try. I'll tell you, I was totally freaked out about grants, like totally. I was so freaked out about it that we would talk at board meetings and I would say, oh my God, I don't know anybody who knows how to do this. One of our board members had a friend who had wanted to be a seroptimist for years, but the dues were kind of daunting. She had great grant writing experience. And I made a private deal with that woman that I would pay her first year dues if she would join the club, find out more about our mission, and help us figure out how we could message that to foundations. And then I discovered that we have 3 or 4 amazing writers in our club. Sally Hazlitt, right up there at the top of the list. If you're in District 4, you know Sally, she's the district director, right up there. She and Gary did the first grant write-up for us 2 years ago. We're still using it. We tune it up and put in our current experiences and so forth, but we're using that foundational work that she did for every grant application that we do. So now here's another surprise for us. So we now have a huge problem, right? In order to be a QCO, we got to spend more than half of our money on qualifying services to low-income Arizona residents. We found out this past year, we don't have enough LIDA applicants. Oh man. I think that's a good problem to have. And so we're forming a work group where we're going to go root around and try to figure out, make the connections to programs for non-traditional learners and, different things like that. Trade and vocational schools in addition to community colleges. We're going to really have to get out there and root around because it's hard to give away 25 grand if you've only got 6 LIDA applicants, and some of them, kind of don't really have the financial need that we're looking for. And we have enough money to where we can expand our Dream It, Be It activities to other underserved schools where 90% of the students are on free or reduced price school meals. All we need is more members who want to jump in and help make that happen. We've had a lot of help at the region level, and I can tell you, I'm speaking for Kathy and Denise here, we will help you any way that we can. So what you want to do as a club is just figure out, is this grant writing thing something that you really want to try to take on? Is the QCO thing something that you want to try to take on? Oh my gosh. LaDonna, Denise, Kathy and I, Sally, we will help you with the grant writing. LaDonna, of course, for the California grants, but man, her resource list is amazing. And if you want to really find out more about being a QCO, you want to, experiment with it, you want to find out more about, how our club decided to do this, please reach out and ask. So now when you get into the toolkit, I showed you the sample Excel worksheet, and you can't read it on, I'm going to go into screen share now. I'm going to go into a slideshow. Whoops, wrong move. Oh well, bear with me. Close your eyes, this will make you dizzy. Okay, whoops. Oh no. All right, so I went ahead and showed you the Excel file because you can't read it on this screen. I can't even read it, and I'm sitting right in front of a huge monitor. Now, this is the thing that I wanted to make sure everybody knows is in there. This comes from that link that was on the charts about how you can find out the United States poverty income levels. In order to meet the Arizona QCO criteria, Low income means 150% of the federal poverty level or lower. And remember, we talked about the, example, live your dream applicant. She's a single parent. She's got 3 children. If her annual income that she reports on her LIDA application is $39,750 or less, we're all over that application because that meets the low income QCO criteria. And we're committed to using our net fundraising proceeds, our grants, and our QCO donations to spend on Live Your Dream and on Dream It Be It. So I wanted you to have this table. When you look at the PowerPoint at home, you'll see the numbers are a lot more readable. It gives you the annual income as well as the monthly income. Because sometimes when you read the Live Your Dream applications, it says annual income, but they give you something that's obviously a monthly income. Well, no worries. You've got the facts you need right here on this page. And I showed you the fact sheet. Again, you can't read it. We also put in a file of a sample acknowledgement letter. When people make QCO donations to our club, we make sure that we give them a letter back, because if you make a QCO donation, you need to have proof that you did donate to a QCO. So you need an acknowledgement from that QCO organization to keep with your files that support the tax return that you submitted. So it's important to have some idea, how do I write an acknowledgement letter to a QCO donor if I've never done it before? Now, put the QCO code in there, put your employer, the IRS EIN number in there, and carry on. Okay, and then we're here to help. All right, I've talked for a terribly long time. What can we do for you in terms of questions and answers? I know I did not explain this so well that you can go home and explain it to your dog. So if you have questions, it's perfectly fine to pipe up.
This is Kowena with the Lake Havasu City Club. Could you elaborate on the spreadsheet, the items that, what you're dividing up between what should be, what is qualified as one of the QCO expenses versus what you're not having to take the 50% on?
You're muted, Laura.
Okay, thank you, Denise, for cueing me. I'm just talking. I mean, I do this at work too. It's embarrassing. All right, so where were we? All right, so you can see, let's take this example, fundraising expenses. Well, that's not providing services to qualifying low-income individuals. So it's not going in the program service column. We call that club operations because it's our club that's incurring the fundraising expense. Now, but let's take SI and SIA dues, okay? Another fictitious example here. It's part of our overhead, but we like to keep track of how much money are we spending as a club on our club mission, and how much are we spending, in support of being a worldwide organization and helping women and girls in our region, in the Federation, and all over the world. So does that answer the first part of your question, Coena? Just, some insight into where the line items got parked?
Yes, it does. It
Okay.
does.
So now I'm going to go down to the bottom and see if I can catch maybe a little bit more of your question. See this, so you see here that our total expenses, 19,815, that's the total. 10,500 was for program service, which
Yeah.
we defined as live your dream, dream it, be it. That's 53%. Yay, we meet the QCO qualification, half or more.
Right.
Okay, so now I don't know if I caught, kind of what you had in mind for your question. And you went back on mute, Coena. I'm so sorry. Unmute.
Sorry about that. Let me look over the spreadsheet to find an example of why there was something that I thought was in one category that I thought should have been in the other. Let me just kind of look at it and see.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
That.
Yeah. And if it jumps out at you while we're talking here, great. If it jumps out at you afterwards, don't worry. You got our contact info.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Now here's something that you might have wondered about. You'll notice that in the club operations column, we show spring conference attendance, and that's because our club made a decision that we would send 3 of our, so if your club does that, if your club helps some of your members attend spring conference or leadership or fall meeting, then that's a club decision that you made. Okay, but dues and the president's appeal and the conference fees and all that good stuff, that's keeping the world above us, spinning and doing good for women and girls.
You found it. That was what yes, thank you.
Super.
Thank
Okay,
you.
super. And I don't know whether any other clubs, help some of their members attend conference. Anybody else do that? You can use the confetti cone or use the thumbs down thing. Marcia, how about you? Good, so your club does that too. And the reason why our club decided to do this, like every club, we've got women coming from everywhere, and we did not want a woman to feel that she could not attend the meetings because she couldn't afford it. Right? I mean, I'll tell you, $600 for spring conference, that's spendy, even to me, right? So we did not want to have people feel inhibited. What we do is we send our president, our vice president, and our delegate, because we have 3 votes as a club, and we did not want any woman hesitating to run for board leadership because they knew they'd have to go to the meetings and they weren't sure they could afford it. Okay, so that's why we made the decision that we did. We don't want any club member hesitating on taking a leadership role because of the cost of the meetings. All right, what other burning questions do you have? I know you got them, or comments that you want to make. I feel like this is a ton of detail.
Laura?
Yes.
This is Kathy. One point I wanted to make was the fact that we counted on members to hopefully contribute to the QCO for a QCO donation. And we did rely upon that and asked the members if we became a QCO, would they actually contribute? Would they find a need to have a tax credit? And so we did count on that, and that did materialize. I personally found a tax credit was much more desirable than donating to a fundraising event where you didn't have any credit tax-wise. So it's nice to still give money to our programs, but it's less, it achieves the goal. Instead of buying tickets to a fundraiser, So we found that as a definite advantage. And passive fundraising is a lot more exciting. You can put your money into your programs and into your social and know your members better than huge fundraising events that have the huge expenses.
You know, Kathy, that's a great point about the tax credit. That reduces your Arizona state income tax dollar for dollar up to $400 per individual, $800 for married filing jointly. So that's great. And you know, the tax laws changed a couple years back. Tax deductions got a lot less attractive for some people. And so now here we're giving them another route where, you know, they can give us a QCO donation. Actually, we'll take money of any kind. Don't be confused. But if it's a QCO donation, they get a tax credit. Okay, anything else before we get booted out of here in 2 minutes and 34 seconds?
Laura, this is Karen Johnson.
Hi, Karen.
I just want to say that, yes, this is a lot of information. It's really eye-opening for me. I'm so pleased to be able to listen and take this in, but I'll be really happy to read over the stuff that you put on the computer to kind of let it sink in.
Yeah, you know, that's so great because by now, I mean, as a club, we've been working on this and talking about it for 2 full years, right? And even now, I'll be in meetings and someone will say, well, you know, how much income do we need to be a QCO? And the answer is, you don't need any. You just need to have more than half of your spending going someplace. So it is a lot to take in. As you read it, think about it, ponder it, please reach out. Reach out. We spent a long time as a club trying to understand what this would mean for us and, you know, trying to figure out how to make it work. So nobody's going to, you know, understand this perfectly from a 40-minute Zoom session. Please reach out.
And if you want some, when you're going to talk to your club about it, if you want to invite one of us to come and join that session and explain, you know, what we did and how we did it and what the terms mean and so forth. I know I'm speaking for all 3 of us, but we would be delighted, you know, to be invited to do that. We're really at your disposal. If this looks like something you'd like to accomplish for your club, we're completely delighted to help you do that.
Yeah, it was an interesting trail to blaze, and it's night and day. I cannot tell you how good it felt to give out $21,000 in Live Your Dream awards this spring and to have $25,000 in the bank right now for next year. I can't tell you how awesome that is. So now we have this massive problem of, oh my God, where are we going to find more LIDA applicants? Okay, so if anybody is winning at finding LIDA applicants, send me your story. I am desperate. I cannot go back to the board again and say, hey, we got 3 winners. What do you think about giving them $9,000 apiece? All good? I want to spread this around and help more women. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your time, and you know, hopefully we'll be chatting.
You.
Okay,
Thanks,
anything?
Laura.
All right, and I guess we can just boot ourselves out if the moderator doesn't do it first. Thank you.